And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Gulfstream Park West. At this time, we ask that you please rise, remove your caps, and honor America in the playing of our national anthem.
I'm always amazed in that open how fast some of those horses are walking and even running in their races. As we, of course, welcome you to this live day number 4 Saturday edition of Gulfstream Park West today. Ron Nicoletti, Jason Blewett, alongside from our GPW studios, and a beautiful day here, my friend, in South Florida for some thoroughbred racing.
Thoroughbred racing, we're going to start today with a fast main track, a turf course right now listed as good. We'll see how that plays out for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, big day as well throughout the country, needless to say. Here at GPW, our opening 10-race card of the fall. There'll be a number of those 10-race affairs following today's action on this Saturday, October the 6th. In fact, starting a holiday weekend for many of us here, and that means we'll be running on Monday, Columbus Day. Not sure what post time it is. It might be 12:50, it might be 1:15, but we are indeed running this coming Monday here at GPW. How about a little rundown as to what's on tap with some of the more marquee and popular wagers on the card today, and that includes the Super High Five in race number 1 at about 12:55, 1 p.m. when we spring the latch. That includes, of course, the 50-cent early pick 5, and we do have, well, we've hit 5 figures, my friend, in the Rainbow Six.
Yeah, just approaching $12,000 in the carryover of the Rainbow Six, and it's the last 6 races on the card, and we'll end that day with a final pick 5 of the afternoon, and of course we have exacta, trifecta, superfecta wagering throughout the whole afternoon.
Definitely, and plenty of turf to go around on this Saturday card, including a very rare 3-turn, mile-and-a-half contest a bit later in the day. I think even on a stakeless Saturday, that race deserves the spotlight feature, if you will. So lot of things going on, Ronnie, heading into that.
It's all about trip in that particular race, because you just got to get that positioning, and you got speed, you got stalkers, and you got closers. So it's a perfect setup for an excellent race.
Absolutely, and it's race number 5. In fact, the cash-out leg in Saturday's early pick 5, and given the distance, the 3 turns, the stamina, the trip, I just felt inclined and feel inclined to have some coverage in that race. I'm going 4 deep. I do not have the clear favorite at 9-5 on the line. Likely loose on the lead is the one, Give to UK Cats, but the distance, in my opinion anyway, at this stage of the game might be a little bit of a question mark with the horse who once upon a time could stay 11 furlongs with no problem. My single, however, is in the first race, and I love, A, that Mike Maker is back in town, and this has been his MO over the last few autumns here at Gulfstream West, bringing a few in, setting up shop, and then obviously more troops are coming in reserve as we get closer to Gulfstream Park. don't see much speed in the first. I'm too deep, Ronnie, in races 2, 3, and 4. KK's Revolver is going to be a big favorite in the second.
Yeah, I agree with that. Gilberto Zerpa, 45% with blinkers off angle, so we'll see how that horse runs in there.
And 2 huge Gulfstream Park summer meets for the barns that I have in race number 3. And both boys from Venezuela, and Victor Barboza Jr. and Gilberto Zerpa, who could easily win 2 races in the second and third today. And I am too deep using the 8 and 9 Blue Sky. Speaking of Venezuela, I got a little Blue Sky Venezuela and enough and then some in the 4th race. That race, however, Ronnie, may feature the biggest early scratch on the card today.
Yeah, Snake Eyed Girl looked like a logical contender in there. And then in that 5th race, I can't wait for that. Got my long shot in there. We'll tell you about that when we get to the analysis of that race.
And I got your long shot covered on that ticket, my friend.
Affluential, 12-1 on the morning line. And like I said, trip. That horse is going to be one of the closers with MSCL Aramil in the saddle.
Yeah.
So you'll see how the race plays. And that's the one you mentioned, the favorite. Speed. I didn't think that horse would get the distance either. I got him on my ticket, but further down.
Sounds good. And Ronnie's Rainbow, of course, coming up. That'll be the opening leg of the Rainbow Six as we saddle in and grab that hiking stick because we'll be going very long on the turf. We still go 2 turns and a rat of ground for what it's worth in the Saturday First at a mile and a 16th, a 3-lifetime $8,000 claimer in which Ronnie and I are taking the ice-cold try here at 10.85 to start this opening Saturday here at Gulfstream West. And I'm sure, Ronnie, aside from the connections, ultimately the race flow played into both of us taking eccentric warfare.
I kept looking back saying, who's the speed? Which I usually start all my handicapping, and I kept coming up with eccentric warfare, debuting locally for Mike Maker, as you mentioned. Used his tactical speed to win those couple of races over at Indiana Grand. Son of Data Link. To me, looks like the controlling speed and should be tough to collar. And when we say controlling speed, this is not someone that has to go out on the lead. Just got to sit there, bide its time, either set the pace or sit right over some horse that's going out and wing-dinging it. So eccentric warfare. I like Summer Spice on the ticket, too. This one's stretching out to its best distance, 12 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds, 3 thirds, a 3-lifetime claimer across town. It's Kathleen O'Connor, Edgar Zayas, handling that added real estate this afternoon. So I think there's a logical 3 that, well, look, we have them exactly alike on the ticket.
Indeed we do. And let's just tie a nice, neat ribbon around the number 10, Eccentric Warfare, who's got Jaramillo riding for Mike Maker. As the birds chomp down on that new turf course. I told you that grass course got rave reviews from the wildlife and the jockeys who have been aboard the first 3 days. And Mike Maker, his first time domestic ship-ins at GPW over the last 5 years, have obviously basically won 1 out of every 3 at 20 for 65. And these are horses that have paid some okay prices. Ronnie and I in agreement to start. Love this little animal kingdom we have here, my friend.
Love that stat, too. That's a pretty good stat.
Yeah, thanks, man. All right, let's move on to the second. We stay around 2 turns, but we venture on over to the fast main track. A 2-lifetime 6250 claimer set to go here. And when it comes down to it, the 6 KK's Revolver is going to be just a huge favorite. He found, I think, the tempo in those 1-turn miles over at GP maybe a little too fast, a touch too fast at crunch time. I think the slower tempo, because they've got that first turn to negotiate, will slow him down a little bit, and hopefully he'll just have more in the tank.
And also, as I mentioned, they're taking the blinkers off this afternoon, and Gilberto Zerpa, 5 for 11, 45% with blinkers off. I think that's also going to throttle down this horse's early interest. You get an MSC Jaramillo. They got the go-to jock in there. I mean, the race certainly looks like it belongs to KK's Revolver. But, Octopithius, who we both have in second, I think's got a good shot, hoping to save a little more for the stretch drive today. Opened that and relinquished that 3.5 length lead, actually, when finishing second, going a mile. The reason I mention it, Oscar Gonzalez, 7-pound bug, Kevin Carmona, I think they're putting this one on the lead.
Yeah, and that may force Amiseo Jaramillo into a bit, especially with the shades off, into more of a tracking, stalking type trip there with the 6 KK's Revolver, who, again, we're hoping gets it done for Gilberto Zerpa, who, lo and behold, has a major hand, maybe a couple of aces, my friend, coming up in Saturday's second and third as we cut back here on the main track for race number 3, a 6250 claimer. And towards the outside, we've got a Zerpa claim in the 7, Dash of Dazzle. Different barn, we get that, but nonetheless, we will bring you this horse's last start a few weeks ago, back on September 13th, when Dash of Dazzle had a good trip from the rail, and did everything right at crunch time as this horse roars and swarms. Tiger Blood here looked pretty good the other day.
Yeah, this Dash of Dazzle, certainly a popular sort, claimed in 5 of its last 6 races, and you can see his performance here. I just thought Dash of Dazzle was the one to beat. You know, we've been saying this ad nauseum for the last couple of months. Trainer Gilberto Zerpa, an unworldly 47% with new claims. He's got his go-to jock, MC El Jaramillo. Just a popular gelding, looks like the one to beat.
And again, the guys from Venezuela, we have a number of talented riders. Amisael tops the list as far as Venezuelan natives, but Sano, Zerpa, Barboza, they are all elite horsemen who are clearly gaining both awareness and evolving here, their respective outfits in South Florida. Good stuff from all those guys, and I've got the Venezuelan flag flying here with Dash of Dazzle for Gilberto, and then Victor's horse, the 8 Jersey Street, in the second spot. You, however, like Oscar Gonzalez to potentially, and he's from Mexico originally, to upset them with Master Rory.
I like this horse. This is stepping up to face the open competition after notching both his 2 and 3 lifetime conditions as the favorite. I like the call. This is the now horse. I would not be shocked if this one, got to really run to beat Dash of Dazzle. But Master Rory, I love horses that are in good form right now. Hard to win 3 in a row, as everybody knows. But we'll see how that horse runs. And Jersey Street for all the reasons you mentioned.
All right, let's move on to the 4th race here as we are on the precipice of Saturday's Rainbow Six. Continue on the main track with another sprint, a $25,000 2-year-old filly maiden claimer. And as Ronnie mentioned correctly with my early pick 5, easily the biggest scratch early on today, and there aren't many of them, but the biggest one, hands down, is the number 3 Snake-Eyed Girl, and with her out, it's almost tough, as we have once again an easy-peasy 8-9-2-5 super here in the 4th.
Did you copy my selections today?
Yes. I'm a man of great honor and integrity. That's like cheating on a test. I can't look at Ronnie's or anybody else's analysis before I do my own work. I mean, it really is like cheating on the SAT. But the outside fillies are both well-connected and look pretty good.
Yeah, Blue Sky Venezuela, daughter of Sky Mesa, dropping to this level in the main track in a race without the blinkers this afternoon. Responded last time out to that drop down in competition. Comes back, runs that improved 4th place finish against 35 maidens, going 5-8. Alexis Delgado, Edgar Zayas handling the surface switch this afternoon. So I just thought that was a logical choice. The number 9, Enough, and then some is stretching out an additional furlong. Henry Colazzo, his really had a nice little spring and summer.
Oh, sweet on the ladies, man. I mean, think of the work he's done with that horse. It's amazing.
He does an excellent job, and he's sort of under the radar. And he's got. I don't know too much about this jockey. Do you know about Orion?
I don't know anything about him.
Orion Sewell. I don't know much about him, but he was on the horse last time.
Maybe we'll put you on the case, my friend. We're going to put your little your reporter cap on, and Ronnie will dig a little bit and perhaps have an update for us before the 4th race rolls around. However, I know you did a little thinking here with the Rainbow Six, right?
I did, but I wanted to know, did you have Snake-Eyed Girl on top of your ticket like I did?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that one hurt. And there's another key scratch coming up a bit later, a Jonathan Thomas trained, a 2-year-old, in what amounts to a good-looking Florida bred for the youngsters. More on that and a trip down memory lane to the Breeders' Cup a few years back after this quick timeout.
Whether you're at home or at the track, have a stake in the race when you bet with ExpressBet. Sign up for an ExpressBet online betting account and receive up to a $500 sign-up bonus.
And Gulfstream is pulling away. Gulfstream blows them away with an eye-opening performance. Awesome again has won. Gulfstream kicking clear. Julie the Beauty.
Well, welcome back to this live Saturday edition of Gulfstream West Today with Ronnie and Jason from our GPW studios here in sunny and clear Miami Gardens. In fact, we were looking at that beautiful shot from the tower, my friend. way out, some 9 miles east. We could almost see Gulfstream Park and the ocean, right?
Yeah, but we certainly can see the Diplomat Hotel, and that's where we keyed off, and that is 1 mile from Gulfstream, so 9 miles. Those cameras are amazing. How
They
they
really
can get
are.
that for us. So an amazing shot this afternoon by our great camera crew.
Oh, we've got a great team behind the scenes, absolutely, both over at Gulfstream and, of course, here at GPW. We've also got Ronnie, again, wearing that reporter cap and thinking cap, which is dangerous, by the way, but you've been hard at work, culling the past performances. What are we doing in the Rainbow?
Well, we're going to have a $38.40 ticket, and you'll see in this opening leg, I've got the horse that I was talking about, Affluential, who's my long shot today at 12-1. I just think if this horse carves out the right trip, but I was afraid to give UK Cats off my Rainbow 6 ticket, so I added it. Now you go down to race number 8, which I think is a great race this afternoon with a lot of nice horses in the race. I added 4 here because I like the number 8 Florida Two-Step because it comes out of a really key race. Going to be first-time gelding for Jose Garofalo, and I didn't want to get beat by that horse. I think the logical ones in there are maybe the 4 or 5 or the 6, but I had to add the 8. And you see the rest of the progression, $38.40. So a couple of long shots on my ticket to help maybe score big here in the Rainbow 6.
And speaking of long, well, how do you like the 3 turns and a 1.5 mile configuration of this upcoming Saturday 5th? A very competitive and deep and a big field. It's nice seeing guys step up, and gals, because you do have a couple of female trainers in the mix that want to obviously run their horses long here on the turf at GPW, and a distance we rarely encounter. And distance, I think, is more or less the main theme, of course, in Saturday's 5th race as to who might potentially stay the trip and who just can't do it because of bloodlines or whatever else. Now, with the case of, or in the case of Kickin' Boy the 5 and your long shot today, Affluential, I felt it would be worthwhile, and you did as well, to go back to that July 28th, a race I watched from Saratoga, the Coping Away Stakes. I remember watching this one from the boxes at the old spot. And we pulled this one because it was run at 3 turns and 12 furlongs. And to me, both Kickin' Boy and Affluential, and Kickin' Boy's in the pink silks, and he'll try to fight his way up the inside. He had to wait for room there, approaching the top of the stretch, but ultimately I thought, man, did I think and believe Sammy Camacho gave him a great ride. And here comes Affluential. He's the number 1. He's essentially following Kickin' Boy into the head of the stretch. Now, in the end, Sammy's not able to get out from behind horses, and ultimately he'll have to split and then find a way to rally inside of Archer Road, who won this race as the even money favorite. Here comes Affluential, the 1 who also had a good ride and a good trip. I love how both these horses, Ronnie, stepped up and responded at a 1.5 miles.
And then my thought process, look at the past performances in the race, look at the morning lines, and Affluential sitting there at 12-1. You know, that was back on July 28th. So since that performance of Affluential, his late runs have come up a little short, going 9 and 8.5 furlongs respectively. I think the 1.5 miles, I like the fact that MSC Al Harami is a strong finisher. Not that Sammy's not, but you know that he'll be on the ticket. And I mean in the saddle today. So Affluential, give me UK Cats. Now, you went with Songer on top of your ticket. I can understand that it's Todd Pletch if this horse won. I'm out, but I could understand that.
I have just taken a liking to this horse. With his closing kick, when he's on his game, and therein lies the potential problem, because not only has the barn been pretty chilly down here, Song Air at this point, clock's ticking for him. He's got to pick up his feet one of these days because he has not appeared that kind of dominating closer that he once was, say, in the summer of 2017. But when he's on his game, he's very flashy and a very strong finisher. And I'm hoping maybe just throwing him a little bit of a curveball this afternoon at a 1.5 miles will wake him up. And maybe he'll like, as he gets a little older, maybe he'll like the sort of reserved and then fly home basically style of these 12 furlong marathon races. Going to try to wake up the number 2 Song Air.
The horse that we both have in third, number 9, Unbridled Holiday. That's the one that's got, I had to add this one to the ticket. That's the one I think can run well in here, stretching out to 12 furlongs for the first time. But he was so game at 1.8 miles last time out. He's the son of Harlan's Holiday. He's bred to handle the added distance, and I just thought he ran okay. And when I handicapping, I just kept going back to that horse, and I'm glad to see that we both used him on our tickets for, you know, in third spot.
If there's one horse who, aside from Song Air, who can potentially step up and maybe surprise today because of the 1.5 miles, I'm thinking Umberto Holiday can do it because he's not flashy. He really is a plotter, and it just seems like his legs are starting to get going at a mile and a furlong, so he may relish the switch out there to 12 furlongs in a very good 5th race, and arguably the highlight on the Saturday card here with this Columbus Day weekend at GPW in full swing. So it's 5 down and 5 to go, our first 10-race program of the autumn season here in Miami Gardens. As we move ahead to race number 6, we will start the late pick 5, and again, that key scratch couple races down the Florida Turnpike in the 8th race with the Jonathan Thomas Firster. I am 3 deep there, and I am so anxious to see what Burley Boy does this afternoon, who's bred to be a really nice horse and stopped by the barn of Leo Espero Jr. a couple of mornings ago over across town at Gulfstream. This horse really looks terrific, healthy, dappled, and ready to make his debut. My single, and it might be a shaky single, is Paco and Sacco. Oh, you have him on top in the 9th.
I do have him on top, and then I went back to look, and one of 2 horses in the race for Lily Curtinez, and the other one being Coco is Loco. Yeah, I thought Paco and Sacco was the one to beat in there, and absolutely, I only went 2 deep in that race because I like Paco and Sacco in that race.
Good. I hope we're right with Paco. I hope we get up to the 10th race in a position to maybe cash for a few bucks, which would be a welcome change of pace around here.
Exactly.
If I'm being honest, which we try to always be, does Terry Pompey, because you picked the 4 Pegasol in the last race, does she continue that amazing white-hot streak that she had over at Gulfstream?
Well, it certainly seems that she is. So I have her on top of my ticket. I'm looking down. I also have the 8 Sweet Tea Jack, who was in sort of tight quarters last time out. So I think those are the logical 2. And the only difference here is I went 4 deep in that race number 8 because I found the horse that's coming out of a key race. That was my thought process there. But otherwise, we're pretty much in agreement.
And I've got a JBM in off a maiden 10 victory in this opening leg, who I picked the number 1 Bull Roar from that inside post, who's got the good connections and just seems obviously properly spotted against winners. The drop down is the number 7 Outrun, who if the track was wet, he would have been the single for me and everything. It's not wet, but he still looks pretty good.
Yeah, Bull Roar, you're going to go back. I just want to show you a stat on Ralph Nix with maiden winners last time out, sprints in the dirt. He's solid. He's 7 for 66, 11%, 41% in the money, but a measly return of investment of 58 cents because everybody bets Ralph Nix. Thus made me jump up to Outrun, and you're right, if it was an off track, I'd be right there and really maybe singling this horse. Turning back to 3/4 after following that 16-length maiden victory, going 7 furlongs that day in the sealed sloppy track, comes back, sets the pace, and Weekends going 3rd. That was that 1-turn mile across town at Gulfstream Park. So these are, in my estimation, the 2 logical horses in the race.
Race 7, though, gets us back on the turf here as we jumpstart that final pick 4, and we've got an $8,000 3-and-up claimer. And although Ronnie and I are very much in the same area code here in Miami Gardens, just boxing up the super for what it's worth, I do feel between the 4, the major players, the 4 or 5 horses they're going to bet the most money on, I get a sense there's a very minute margin as far as overall ability goes. So this race, I think, will come down to a tight finish and a big scramble. Do you think with your top pick, the 6 Hot and Heavy can just make the lead and maybe just keep going?
Well, you know my handicap, and that's where I usually go first. So Hot and Heavy game 2nd against $10,000 claimers. Back in July, drops into a winning spot today. Returned from that layup. He stalked the pace. He weakened. He was the lukewarm favorite that afternoon. 16 state-bred optional claimer Rodolfo Garcia. Emicial in the saddle today. Emicial, you better have a good day if he's listening to me out there. And I went with the speed play. But I think when the smoke clears, the 3 Bingo Kitten will be favored. Or if it's not the morning line favorite, which I believe it is.
And he's a huge player.
Yeah.
I mean, he really seems well spotted. Soon to be 9-year-old. He's in for the 8K again, which seems like a snug fit. And I know you've got some numbers for us here with Armando de la Cerda.
Yeah, Armando de la Cerda, 2nd after the layoff claimers on the turf. He's 5 for 33, 15%, 36% in the money, $1.63 return of investment. The reason I'm showing this is not one of Armando. Usually when you see his stats, they're unworldly, like I said before. But this one, one, solid. You know, he doesn't do this a lot, but when he does it okay. Wins at a 15% rate. I just think Bingo Kitten is going to be the favorite in there. Going to try and beat him with hot and heavy. And I used Escape Velocity on the ticket, trying to make it 2 in a row. Posted its second victory in its last 3 starts when he defeated this caliber opposition. That was a 10-claimer at the distance. So just off the now horse thing, I threw that one on the ticket.
He may get first run on your top pick, hot and heavy. He's got the speed to really take it to that horse, whatever the rider sees fit. As we move on to race number 8, this is one of the highlights today. I think the 1.5-mile race is most intriguing because of the distance. But in terms of just promise and a strong Florida-bred 2-year-old program thus far, with well-defined and a now tempted bound in New York cookie dough, we'll bring on this next cast of juvenile Florida-bred maiden runners in this special weight with a field of 9. You could take out the 10 Wonder In, who was probably going to be favored just because. I'm not sure where they ultimately go with that horse out, but the pedigree horse in the race is unquestionably Burly Boy. Comes from a solid family, and the Dam Queenie Belle, in fact, has already foaled a major Breeders' Cup winner, and we thought we'd have a little fun today on an otherwise quiet Saturday here at GPW. And let's harken back almost 8 years ago, beneath the lights at Churchill Downs. It was all about Burly Boy's sister, Unrivaled Belle, winning the Breeders' Cup. This staff.
Blind Luck, and Blind Luck is coming like an express train on the outside. Unrivaled Belle digs deep, finds more. Blind Luck is closing the gap with each and every stride. Having a race in there as well, but it's Unrivaled Belle coming home to score, and it is going to be Unrivaled Belle and Candace Ormo take the Ladies Classic in a huge performance.
And we'll see if the talents of a Breeders' Cup royalty pedigree, with Curlin as your dad, won the Breeders' Cup Classic. One of your half-sisters was a Breeders' Cup Distaff champion. And just to tie a ribbon around the 4, Burly Boy, who debuts for Leo Espera Jr., there are a lot to like, or there is a lot to like in terms of the DNA here. And it's not just a one-hit wonder type family, Ronnie. 5 of the 7 sibs to make the races anyway are winners, and most of them are multiple winners.
Yeah, and I was sort of sold when I saw the son of Curlin, too. So there's lots to like about there, and Leo's certainly taking his time with this horse. 12 Gulfstream Park workouts showing, and certainly he's bred to be a good one.
Yeah, definitely. So Burly Boy for me, I had picked the Jonathan Thomas 2-year-old. With that one out, I scratch into Burly Boy, which is fine with me because no one to this point, Ronnie, has really distinguished themselves. None of the horses that have run, be it the 9 Red Fog or your top pick, Liam, let's go. They've run okay, but no one has, like, blown anybody out of the water.
Well, I had the 10 horse on top of my ticket, too, and scratched into number 6, Liam, let's go. And this horse has been just a riddle I've been trying to figure out. Is stretching out to 3/4 of a mile, returning to the maiden special weight ranks today. Stalked the pace, finished third, was the 3-5 favorite when facing those 50 maidens, state-bred maidens last time out. I thought this horse 2 starts back ran really well. They put him in for 50, thus they would drop him down. Everybody was betting him at 3-5. Didn't really fire that winning performance last time out. He's the son of He's Had Enough, trained by Kathy Ritvo, Jonathan Gonzalez in the saddle. So I'm going to use that horse. I got Restart on the ticket too, who's the son of Mind Chef, and I respect Dr. Gonzalez. And the horse that I put on my ticket, Hugh Evanforth, Florida 2-step, speed, recent gelding, comes out of a monster key race with 4 winners. Had to put that one on my ticket. But I really like the work you did with Burly Boy. That's interesting. All that great breeding. And I love Leo Espera Jr. Took a couple of years off. He came back, and his horses all run well.
Old school horseman. He really is. Runs a modestly sized operation at this stage, but I stopped by and got a first-hand look a couple of mornings back over at Gulfstream. I mean, really a good horseman who loves his horses. And from what I saw with Burly Boy and tweeted it out, that horse looks ready to roll in his debut. Moving on to race 9, this will bring down the curtain in terms of the turf racing today, and we're on the grass for the final time with a 2 lifetime 8-claimer. Get us home here, man, with Paco and Sacco. Come on.
This one's dropping to the $8,000 level. First start since dueling for the lead in time when facing 16 condition claimers at Gulfstream. Now, that was on July 4th, but the gelding should be able to flaunt the speed against this caliber of competition, another speed play. We've noticed over the last few days, speed is not bad on the turf course here at Gulfstream Park West. It's not the overwhelming angle you need, but they've run well. And I just thought that was the horse to beat there, Paco and Sacco, and just had vague thoughts of maybe singling this horse on the ticket because I'm a sucker for the speed play.
Yeah, hopefully that horse just slows it down on point with Edgar Zayas riding. Here's race 10 as we end the day with the field of 10 and a $10,000 maiden claimer. Isn't that nice? Pegasol, our top selection here. In fact, on a day Ronnie and I, and this is bad news for me, I ought to go to the doctor. You and I are seeing these races basically in unison. We've got the cold 4-8 exacta to cap the card.
Well, you were talking, every time the numbers come up, I've been chuckling here because it's usually not the case. And Pegasol beating the neck at this distance, return from a lengthy 19-month layoff to a couple of starts back, shortens up, chased the pace, finished fourth. More importantly, Terry Pompey just been on fire across town at Gulfstream Park during the summer meet. Jonathan Gonzalez atop this lightly raced son of Fuzaichi Pegasus. I haven't seen a lot of those Fuzaichi Pegasus around here anymore. We used to have a lot of them.
There used to be a lot. He was his Derby, dude.
Yeah.
I think of him and Barbaro. Probably in terms of just visual awesomeness, the two most impressive Derby winners I've seen in my lifetime. As a sire, pretty average there, but he was a good racehorse, wasn't he?
Yeah, and we had, for one time down here in South Florida, a lot of Fuzaichi Pegasus running. Fupeg. So,
right?
Yeah, so I thought Kathleen and then Sweet Tea Jack on the ticket were logical, too. Would have liked to go deeper. Didn't know what to do with the 11, you know, in the race there. So much bad races, but dropping down for a good barn.
Well, we don't have many Fupegs at this stage of the game. We do have a lot, though, of Pete Aiello, and he's standing by with those scratches and changes right here at Gulfstream Park West.
A world